Hey, what's up, boys? So this is my Arc Trap Pathfinder, and it's pretty much done. It's level 91. There's a couple things I could improve, like tattoos or something, but it's not a big deal. And I guess the main idea of the build was, back in the day, Arc Trap was a really popular build, and I just wanted to see how it feels nowadays. And turns out it feels pretty nice. Like the chains feel super satisfying. Like the damage actually also feels pretty nice, but it does need quite a bit of investment though, I would say. And I guess the main thing I'm scaling my damage with is DORYANI'S prototype. So DORYANI'S prototype is this body armor. It makes it so nearby mobs have the same lightning resistance as you. So I have minus 176, so that's the resistance mobs have as well. And it's just a really strong damage multiplier. But the downside is you cannot resist lightning damage, so you have to mitigate it through armor or some conversion or something. But I just have some armor. Honestly, it's felt fine. And the way I'm getting my minus res is through like vendor's gambles. These can roll minus lightning res, and you can just get some cheap ones with like high life fire and cold res. And you can also get like melting of the flesh. This gives up to 80% minus all res. And that's pretty much all the minus res I have on this build. But melting really screws up the resistances, so that's why mainly I'm Pathfinder. Because if you're Pathfinder with just a little bit of flask scaling, just using like a ruby and a sapphire, this fixes all of your resistances. Which, yeah, it feels nice. And Master Surgeon is also a really strong node actually. Uh, like even with the Divine Flask with like reduced recovery rate, the amount of HP you get off this is insane. Like I can even sustain Righteous Fire with just the flask with like no recovery scaling at all, and like really crappy fire res, which is pretty wild. But it's a little bit sketchy to use because well, your recovery is a lot lower. But it's a nice idea. And the other way I'm scaling my damage is since I'm using trap support, right? Sunblast is really freaking strong. I'm not gonna lie, I really hate using this belt, but it's like a triple damage multiplier. And the downside is that you lose some quality of life because the traps can't trigger off enemies. So just this kind of disgusting delay on the traps until they actually do damage. But I don't know, it's totally worth using. It's just such a huge damage increase. And another thing about Arc that kinda sucks is it has really crappy crit chance, like 5%. But luckily there's a helmet, Sandstorm Visage, that turns your spell crit into, or turns your main hand crit chance into spell crit chance. So if you have like a good wand with some base crit mod, you just get like up to over 10% crit chance on your Arc, so that kind of fixes that. And like combined all those three things, the damage is pretty freaking nice, especially for Arc. Because you know Arc really isn't known for its DPS. But since I have to invest so much into damage, the build is a little bit squishy. Like, you can see my health pool is pretty low. And like the only defensive layers I have is like some damage reduction from the flasks, a little bit of armor, and spell suppress, and a lot of life regen from the flasks. But it's felt fine, good enough. But yeah, man, I really like Arc. Like the chains are super satisfying. And for the rest of the gear, it's just I try to get some decent rares with like life resists, maybe a little bit of damage. Yeah, nothing too special. And for the passive tree, it's honestly nothing too special either. You just grab all the suppress flask nodes, some life nodes. I guess a couple cool things is I'm using a DORYANI'S or Lethal Pride here, and I'm not even getting the keystone. I'm just using it to get some strength. And you can also get a couple mods like fist damage taken as fire damage. Just helps a bit with max hit taken. And these two nodes are really strong with arc. Just a bunch more chaining range. Gives it a really nice range. And yeah. And also EEP, because arc has a pretty crazy mana cost. Like, I throw around 3 times a second, so that's around 260 mana per second. Which is pretty much impossible to sustain with mana. So I just went EEP. It's just nice quality of life, and you can use like a Divine Blessing Zealotry or something. Just nice. Yeah, that's a single target. Like, pretty damn good for arc, I gotta say. And the nice thing is you don't actually have to use arc with this build. You can use any lightning spell at all, like self-cast, traps, mines, doesn't really matter. So it is pretty flexible in terms of that. But yeah, that's the build. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you later.